I gotta say right off the bat, Tenet is a very good movie, but it's not Nolan's best movie. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Love the Movie Troy. This is Troy and this is the channel where we talk about movies. So look, check me out. Tenet is finally in theaters. I just seen it, and here's my review on the movie Tenet, Christopher Nolan's latest film. Now this movie Tenet stars John David Washington, Kenneth Branagh, Elizabeth Debicki, and the Batman, Robert Pattinson. This is Nolan's version of like James Bond. It's a spy thriller. It's a lot, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot. But it's basically about John David Washington's character saving the world through spy espionage. Now, this movie, I gotta say, I really like the movie, you know, and I really appreciate Christopher Nolan as a director, man, because he comes with new, fresh ideas. And every time you go to the cinema and watch a Christopher Nolan movie, you know you're gonna be awed by ideas and the, you know, ambitious and daring stories that he come up with, and you're just gonna be blown away. And in this movie, you are blown away. You know, it's things in this movie that I don't think I've ever seen in a movie before. The practical effects makes everything look real. Like, there's no CGI. I mean, there's probably CGI somewhere, but a lot of the badass shit that you see in this movie is not CGI. And like, you can tell, it really, you know, it really is amazing. All the action, I think this is Nolan's best job at filming action. You know, action looks better than it's ever done. The fight scenes look as good as it ever looked. And the idea of time reversing backwards is amazing. And like, when you see shit happening where certain characters are going backwards while certain characters are going forward in the same frame, it's jaw-dropping. Inversion is what it's called. It's amazing. Now, but I gotta say though, you know, this isn't a masterpiece. This isn't Nolan's masterpiece. I know we're used to Nolan making masterpieces, but I think Nolan's problem with this movie, I think, is his storytelling. You know, I do feel like as a director, you know, he could get too complex with his storytelling. Now, it's funny because the thing that a lot of people think that they would come out being confused with, like the rewinding of time, the inversion, like I said, all of that stuff isn't that confusing, really. Like, when it's explained on screen, you pretty much get it. Like, that's not what you come out saying, oh man, I didn't get this, I didn't understand it. Yes, it get to a point where it starts getting layered, and you know, you could start to say, where we at here? But the normal storytelling of a director wasn't present here at the beginning. You know, it's so many scenes. I think when you're telling a story, it should be clear. You know, I think if you're ever confused about where you're at and what's going on, usually that's something wrong with your storytelling techniques as a director. You know, it's okay to be momentarily confused if, you know, you understand as the storyteller that, hold on, I got you. You know, right now you don't know, but later this will reveal itself. You know, that it's a difference between that and you're like, okay, what am I doing here? Who is he talking to? What is going on? He was just here. Now why is he here? You know, like, I'm gonna give you an example without spoiling the movie. It's a scene where John David Washington has his first meeting with the villain, and the villain is threatening him, and you know, he's, you know, and it's this tension scene, a good scene. And the very next scene, they're on a boat swimming, and you're like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, you know, and you just don't get how they got from here to there. For example, when I say, you know, Nolan's storytelling isn't as good as it should be, I think of stuff like the dialogue not being clear. You know, I think about the dialogue sometimes being too witty. When you have too much stuff that needs to be explained at once, you know, it needs to be clear, straightforward dialogue. It doesn't need to be all this wit stuff, and you're trying to figure out exactly what you need to know, you know. And I feel like the dialogue is not loud enough. Sometimes you can't hear what's literally, you can't hear what the characters are saying. I feel like the editing sometimes, you know, early on is jump cutting, where you're like, okay, hold on, I needed to know where we was just at. Now we're at another scene, so now I'm lost because I didn't even know where we were at in the last scene. You know, it's his storytelling techniques early on makes the story kind of hard to follow. And anytime a story is hard to follow, that's somewhat of a problem. You know, again, it's different from like something like, say, Pulp Fiction, where it's non-linear and you're kind of like, wait, what's going on? And then you figure out that the movie reveals itself as time go. Or like Christopher Nolan's Memento, where the whole movie, you know, was told in reverse, and you don't start realizing that halfway through the movie that, oh, everything that's happening is happening in reverse time. You know, there's a difference between, you know, being a complex storyteller and you're just having a movie that's hard to follow, you know. That being said, you know, this isn't a bad movie at all. You know, I really can't see how someone could call this movie a bad movie, you know, because the movie is very daring. It's a very interesting story. It's very emotional. You know, I think, yes, to a certain degree, the characters play as like a pawn in a chess game, but the heart of the story comes from Elizabeth Debicki's character. You really get this emotional depth to her character. You know, you really feel for her. You really, you know, want her to succeed in this movie. And her dialogue and her great chemistry with John David Washington's character, you know, really makes this movie's heart beat. And I think, you know, for anyone that just try to say, oh, it doesn't have enough character, Elizabeth Debicki, you know, and I really do love her in this movie. She's phenomenal. She probably gives the best performances, even though everyone's great in this movie. I gotta say, Robert Pattinson was great. John David Washington had so much swag and charisma. I mean, he's perfect as a spy type of guy. I could see him as James Bond or something, you know. And, you know, Kenneth Branagh was just a great villain. He was a little over the top, but it worked for this movie. And overall, man, I really enjoyed the movie. You know, I really enjoyed how it was twists and turns and you didn't quite know what was going on. So overall, man, I really like this movie. Christopher Nolan is the world's greatest director, man. That I gotta say that. You know, there's no one else coming up with ideas like him. There's no one else executing ideas like him. And overall, man, this was a good movie. And I gotta grade it. I give it an 8 out of 10. But that being said, I give it an 8 out of 10. But that being said, I do feel like that with more viewings, this movie can get better. You know, I really do. You know, I think, you know, trying to judge this movie on your first viewing is kind of giving yourself a disservice, because some movies require multiple viewings. You know, some movies, you know, you catch certain things and you say, wow, that really made that scene work for me. You know, and that happened with me before with Christopher Nolan's Interstellar. When I first watched that, I really didn't like Interstellar that much. I liked it, but I was like, this is weak as film. I watched it again and it went up like maybe 3 grades. If I had it like a B-, it went to like a A-. You know, it really did give it a lot more when you watched it that second time. And I think that's how this movie is. I gotta see it at least 3 more times in theaters for myself, and the experience of seeing this in glorious IMAX. It's amazing. And I'm so happy theaters back, and I'm happy that Nolan is the one that bring this movie to theaters. Thank y'all, man. Please like this video. If you like the video, please share, subscribe, do all that. Thank you. Bye-bye.